Today I'm talking to Susan. Susan's doctor had put her on Crestor and also blood pressure medications. Susan also had arthritis in both knees and was struggling to cross her legs. All that changed when Susan changed her diet. If you enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could click like and subscribe, and consider supporting me by joining the channel. You can click the join button under this video or the first link in the description. Let's meet Susan. How did you find the carnivore diet?
Well, I had just been to a doctor's appointment. Cholesterol was elevated, and the doctor had been asking me to go on a cholesterol pill, Crestor, for over a year. My cholesterol had gotten up to like 150, no, over 200 at the time. So I went looking into YouTube to see if there were any natural cures for the elevated cholesterol. And I went into one. I'm a retired nurse, so I was trying to, figure out if there was a way for me to overcome this besides taking another pill. I was already on blood pressure medicine. And so I heard a doctor, I'm not sure who it was, but he was explaining the phospholipid layers in the cells. And I said, well, and they were explaining how there was a difference between the HDL and the LDL and that kind of thing. So I looked at that, and then that queued up some carnivore or keto. I had a friend that had been on keto, and she had lost a good bit of weight, but I didn't know if I didn't really know that much about it. So from there, I saw the carnivore information, and I think mostly Kelly Hogan, and I had seen some of Dr. Berry. I had seen some of Splath, somebody, just several of them. And of course, they were at the point where they had already seen their results. So I took the cholesterol medication, and then I started on it about the middle of February on the carnivore diet. And I did not see much in results as far as weight goes. I did have some good feeling. I didn't have as much brain fog, things like that. And so I kept on looking into these things, and I saw one night I was very concerned because I was afraid of the fat and that kind of thing. So I got up and I watched a video that I think it was Dr. Berry, and then another one that showed Dr. Bright. And so I started increasing my fat at that time, and that was probably within the first week or two that I was doing that. A lot of it was just overcoming and having an understanding of a paradigm. I had to go through a paradigm shift of what was okay. So
I guess this is going against your whole training, right?
It is, yes. And my husband and I are both retired nurses, and so he really was concerned and did not want me to continue with it. And he saw a lot of stuff that was more negatively impacted from the negative twist on it. And then what I have done is looked at people and how they conduct themselves in these interviews. And so I have, for myself, I can determine the credibility of what they have, where they have been, where they are now, and how they've come to where they are now. And most of the people have already finished their journey of getting to where they want to be. And I've eliminated so many things as far as medicines and that kind of thing. And I've just now started to lose some of the visceral fats, the main thing.
Regarding the medications, so you said that you did start taking the Crestor.
I did.
Are you still taking it?
No, I stopped taking that after about 3 or 4 weeks. I started having a little bit of pain on my right upper abdominal area. And already, of course, that you have to really do some self-examination in yourself. There's so much paranoia and for me, being concerned and what is my doctor going to say? What are my lab values going to look like? And then so over the past 6 months, then I've been able to as myself and my perspective on this way of eating. And I've come to the conclusion I will continue to eat this way, the carnivore. And if I change at all, make any changes at all, it'll be maybe keto. I'm not sure. I don't right now. I don't want to do anything until my body, my life is stabilized.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good way to go. Just keeping it, getting it more stabilized, and then making decisions from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you still on the BP meds?
Yeah, no. I took myself off of that after I watched Dr. Berry's videos about blood pressure. And I took my blood pressure in the morning and in the evening, 12 hours apart and when I first stopped it, it had the medicine I was taking had HCTZ, which is a fluid pill. And so I took my blood pressure probably every hour to ensure it wasn't going too high. I drank plenty of fluids. I ate, I put salt, and at first I got some no salt, which provided the potassium. And if I started cramping up in my legs or whatever, I would eat some salt or, just on my tongue and whatever. And that helped it. And I saw my body I retained fluid in my legs and for probably a month or 2. But the blood pressure was accessible. And I used some box breathing to calm myself. And I drank the fatty latte, which is a egg, butter, and salt, hot. And that really helped me a lot in several areas. But I just monitored myself very, very carefully. And that ended up it was just amazing to see how my body, if I settled down myself and I did not get freaked out, then my body would slowly reabsorb all of that fluid. I also used some chiropractic interventions where I elevated my legs, like at the foot of the bed or something, or at the head of the bed. And that helped a lot too, to avoid any lymphedema or that kind of thing.
Wow. And so what's your blood pressure around now?
120s, 130s, over 70s. My
Oh,
heart rate
wow.
is stabilized. I've experienced that stronger heart rate, heartbeat, but that doesn't bother me anymore. I know that that's from the not eating any anti-nutrients, which is the fiber and all that kind of stuff, and just drinking my water, eating my meat, noticing the differences in what kind of meat makes a difference, in how I feel, how satisfied I feel. And one thing I love about this is that if I am hungry, I eat some meat or some butter or some eggs or some beef or whatever, just as long as it's carnivore. And it
It's
really
such a
makes a difference in me.
it's such a good feeling, right? That
Yeah.
you can feel hungry and you go, I'm gonna eat, and you don't have to feel guilty.
I don't have to feel guilty. I don't have to worry. One of the things that really impressed me the most was that learning that the fiber, which I loved fiber, I loved stone organic, stone ground oatmeal. I got organic flour. I got organic olive oil. When I started on this, I quit the seed oils, even avocado oil. Now I just use all that stuff for my soap making. I don't put it in my body.
Yeah, it's amazing, like I was the same, I liked all the breads and the oatmeal and all this kind of thing. And you you think, well, it's necessary, because your whole life you're told it's essential, it's this, it's that, right? But then if you
Mhm.
actually, once you realize that it's not an essential thing, even going to Google, you type into Google, is fiber an essential nutrient? And it's like,
Mhm.
no. The information's right there, but there's so much misinformation around this stuff that
There is, and that's one of the things I feel very, I'm not a doctor. I'm a registered nurse, and I was since 1986. I retired in 2020, but that doesn't relieve us of our responsibility, to the people that are around us. And one day, about 2 weeks ago, I started thinking, I repent, because at work I would eat very healthy foods, healthy. And people would come to the table at lunch and go, "What's Susan eating today?" And now, and seeing when I stopped eating like that, and when I started, I had when I was eating like that, I started having my knees. I started having arthritis. I couldn't get up and sit down easily. And I weighed 185 at that time. And then becoming less and less mobile. I even came to the point where I had to ride my daddy's electric scooter, from the bedroom to the bathroom, and hurt like all get out, just to go to the bathroom. And I've just now got to where I can cross my legs. I don't have any pain. My back, if I sit or too long, my back does get what I call crotchety. So I have to look at, what have I eaten over the past 3 or 4 days? And my husband is not carnivore, but I have had a lot of grace to be able to cook what he needs or wants. So he was cooking some stew meat and some potatoes and vegetables and tomatoes. Well, I ate that as he separated it out, and I ate that, and he tries to accommodate me, but I have learned just this past week I cannot eat anything that has been around any vegetables, especially rice or potatoes, none of it, because it causes me to start flaring. And I just go, oh my gosh, it makes you feel like or think about yourself that you are weak. And that's not the case. And so like this past holiday weekend, Sunday morning, I went and got some filet steaks, $12, $13 a pound. I'm so grateful for that. I don't know where it came from or anything like that, but I cooked them up. I ate one for breakfast and one for the evening meal. It helped me to get back on track and to where I felt good. And I ask God all the time to help me be merciful and gracious and not to fight over these things and just stay on it. And I think the main thing is I don't really advertise to the people that I'm around, not because I'm scared of them, but I just want to wait until they start asking, because that's what's important. I'm not going to pressure my husband or anybody else to do this, and probably plan on there. I just know that that's not something I'm going to do. I'm going to take care of my body and be grateful for having been made aware of this way of eating, a way of life. I know probably a month after I started eating and eating this way, I woke up one morning and I just had this sense of very well-being. And I was just going, oh my gosh, thank you, because my mother died. It's been back in 2018, but she had dementia. And I just don't want any of that. And I want to know that no matter what happens with my life, that I've done the best that I can. And I believe that our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and that I am called to be a steward of it, just like I'm a steward of any animals that we have or any animals that we, take care of. That's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and let me say sorry to hear about your mum.
Oh, well, like C.S. Lewis said, death is a part of living. And I know one of the things that happened for me, I worked at this nursing home for 15 years, and I became very despondent and feeling like, is this what my life is going to be? And even though we made jokes about, oh my gosh, if I ever have to come in here, y'all are going to have to, somebody's going to have to build a courtyard outside so that we can walk outside freely and hear the birds, see the squirrels, and see the sun and the moon. And I just couldn't imagine what it would be like to be confined to a bed in a nursing home and that kind of thing. And, I know that if it were ever to be happening, then he would give me the grace for that as well.
So, yeah, I mean, it's certainly, I feel very lucky to have the awareness about this diet as well and this way of eating as well, because I feel like it gives me the best chance of also warding off that kind of thing in the future. So yeah, I think we're both
And
it's good we've both got the awareness.
yes, and you said you've had a stroke years
That's
ago?
correct. Yeah.
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 That is amazing for you to not only survive that, but to recover from the time that you've been on the carnivore diet, and to see the progression of your well-being in light of having been there.
Yeah, it's been it's been amazing. So it's all those, you talked about how you kind of woke up one day and you just had this feeling of well-being like you'd never experienced before. That happened to me as well. It wasn't waking up though. I was out for a walk one day and I felt like I don't think I've ever felt like this.
Yeah, like you're gonna skip along in some of the cartoons where it says, "Fa
Mm.
la 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 la."
Right? Exactly.
Yep.
So, well, actually, one thing I need to go into is you stopped the Crestor about 3 or 4 weeks in.
Mhm.
Have you checked your cholesterol since then?
Yes, I had, a doctor's lab appointment about a month or so ago, and the cholesterol was even higher. It was up around 300.
So
But
did he have a heart attack?
no, now you have to remember, we're in a medical community here, and I've worked with these doctors for all my career. So we all care about each other and our well-being. And he said, well, he talked about the blood pressure medication. And I said, well, I'm not taking it. And did you take the Crestor? No, I'm not taking that anymore either. And he says, well, your blood pressure's down. He says, what have you been doing? And I said, well, I cut out the sugar and the processed foods, and I don't eat any carbs or very low carbs. And he just thought a minute. He looked at me. He says, well, probably, he says, probably after you finish losing your fat or eating your fat up, it's going to go down. And I said, well, okay. And I just kind of left it at that. And so I'll go back in another 6 months or so.
Okay, so
And
he didn't pressure you or anything.
no, he had already
Nice.
done his pressuring and trying to convince me up until, and it hurt my feelings that I needed that. And I have somebody that's close in my life that took the Crestor and everything and got it down, but I I just I'm I just determined, I think that the way of eating that was recommended, the low fat, all of that, vegetables, fruits, I think that's where it put me, is with the inflammation, the arthritis. I had a knee replacement in 2017. And since then, I was pretty, not able to move around all that much. I used to run, I used to walk a lot. Now I have to kind of be careful. I listened to what Dr. Bright said, that she went paddleboarding one day, but if she found that if she paddleboarded 2 days in a row, she couldn't sleep that night. And a little bit of fear that if I really pressure myself to work out, if I quit eating the fat or the buttery eggs and things like that, or if I try to fast too much or whatever, I just that my blood pressure will come back and my inflammation and things like that. And so basically that's a fail safe for me until some information comes along that convinces me personally that I need to do that. I did fast for about 20 hours one day, and it worked out good. And I was so happy to eat my steak at the end of it. But I just have to stay with what a lot of people say. I have to listen to my body, and I will not eat or do anything that will jeopardize my blood pressure, my inflammation, and that's going to be my humble appeal. I'm not going to do it. I just can't. Why would I give it away? Why would I go back? I can't, because I don't want to be. I have a great-grandmother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and an aunt. They've all lived into their 90s and were very able to get around. My daddy lived until he was about 83, 84. And I want to, I said, if I'm 68 years old now and this is all I can do, then what am I going to be like? What do I think is going to be feasible at 75 or 85 or 95? It's certainly not, you can't delude yourself to think that, oh, it'll be okay. And I know one time I ate some chocolate ice cream. I said, oh, I can eat a cup of this. It shot my sugar up, and it was probably a couple of weeks in. And so I learned not to do that. And
it's amazing how fast your body reacts to the stuff, right?
Yep. And so I'm done with thinking that I'm weak. I like having integrity, and I like being able to discern, who is who's worthy of my time, who can I trust with who I am and what I have done, what I've been through, because I there's some of the people that I've watched that I would not, I can't get on those forums because it's, yes, I'm an older woman and everything, but I just can't stay in a chat, even on Carnivore, where there's disrespect and inappropriate referrals to our bodies and everything. Our bodies are precious. Our lives are precious.
I just want to touch on something that you said there about, like, you're kind of talking generally in the direction, I think, of self-control, having control over your destiny, having control over your body.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way you now feel about, because you're eating this way, you kind of feel like, okay, I'm in control now?
Yes. Harry says a lot about I'm the captain of my ship and stuff like that. And I'm okay with that. I just don't, I say I'm grateful that I have responsibility, and I have to do what is best, and I have the ability to do what is best. I can cook for him, my husband, I can cook for anybody, and I can make banana pudding, and I can make rice. My husband's from South America, so he loves rice and potatoes and all the fat, all the onions and garlic and pepper and peppers and everything. And I respect him for that. But I can cook for it, and I say thank you, Lord, that I'm not tempted by it. And I can remember times when I was on Coca-Cola, and I'm talking about when, like in the 80s, I would drink Coca-Cola and I'd think, oh my God, give me a Coca-Cola, or let me eat not just one piece of my mother's pecan pie, but the whole thing, and give me another one to take home with me. Give me that cake. Let me eat all of that banana pudding. So I know that that's a gift, you know, that I'm not even tempted by it anymore. The times that I feel hungry when I wasn't previously feeling hungry is when I'm watching carnivore movies on YouTube and I go, man, I'm hungry. So, but that's okay.
Nice.
I feel like I'm more nourished. I don't feel crotchety. I don't feel cranky. I have a lot of self-control as far as how I speak to others. No matter what. I was already an outgoing person, so that wasn't anything new. And I'm probably more trusting how this will be dealt with, any of this going online and being around the world or whatever, than some people that are around me. But that's okay. I still respect them and care for them, because I know thankfully people respected me and took care of me no matter what.
If I could just summarize like some of the things that have changed for you. So you're not doing the cholesterol meds anymore. You're not doing the BP meds. Your blood pressure's normal. You can stand up, sit down much easier than you could before. So the arthritis is not bothering you like it was?
No. And I can get out and walk with my dog at the park, and those kinds of things around the house, up and down the steps. It's probably a month ago I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not holding on to walking up the steps from coming up from the shop. So
it's so nice to have that realization that I'm beating the steps. The stairs aren't winning anymore, right?
Right. Because once you are in a place where you have to one leg at a time, and then bring that other leg up, one leg at a time up, and then really pushing it. But those things are gone. They're gone. I don't even go to the chiropractor every month like I was. Because of my scoliosis, which I think that was something that happened from my immobility and the way I was eating and everything. Don't have any injections into my back or spine anymore. I think that the steroid or the prednisone shots were causing me to lose strength of my bones. And I just, really believe that all of those things are going to show and give proof that this way of eating is the best thing, especially for me.
You mentioned before that you after you were feeling kind of bad after having that meal, you went out and you bought a couple of fillet steaks, and you had the steak in the morning and in the evening. What does a regular day of eating look like for you?
A regular day of eating for me is usually I get up and I eat breakfast, which is eggs and maybe bacon. It depends on how clean of bacon I can get, or sometimes sausage. I know it's got the Conecuh sausage that's real popular down here has MSG in it, and so I know that that's going in, and it's sort of an experiment to see how I feel, and that helps me because while I get tired of the hamburger meat or pork or the ribs, we get the little ribs. Any of that. So I eat that kind of thing in the morning, unless I'm not hungry. Like today, I got up and I drank a fatty latte, and about noon, um, I cooked 2 New York strips that were not the best, but they were okay, and it filled me up, and that was good. So that's what my husband ate with some baked potato. And then before I went on here, I ate about 4 eggs that were very lightly, cooked in butter. And that'll probably hold me. And if I have to, I'll drink another fatty latte at supper. Before I go to bed, about an hour or two, so I'll sleep well. Sometimes on those, I put a egg yolk or 2. Sometimes it's the whole egg and a tablespoon of butter. Sometimes more. Just depends on how I am feeling. I try not to lean on the fatty lattes if I am truly hungry. If I need something to tide me over, that's what I do. But if I'm really hungry, I'll get up in the morning and I'll eat bacon and eggs, and I'll even eat a leftover steak or pork. Like yesterday, that's what I ate, was pulled pork that I had made in the crock pot, and then pork loin, which was very not fatty, but just to have some diversity in our home so that I don't want to press on my husband too much, Like this evening, he's gone out and gotten something he wants, which is fine.
Have any other family or friends noticed that you're eating a little bit differently than say your husband or them?
My son and daughter-in-law have done the elimination diet before because they found allergies, and they were going to it's not a holistic doctor, but somebody that helped them, with their ailments. I think they've had some, I'm not sure if it's arthritis or fibromyalgia and things like that. But my daughter-in-law's been very inquisitive the last few days, especially. And she said, now you're not just eating just meat, but then, and she said that, and I explained to her at that time what all I was eating and what all I had cut out and how it had benefited me. And she said, well, I think the main thing is eliminate the sugar and the processed foods. And they're on a homestead, and they homeschool their children, and they've been raising meat birds and chickens for laying eggs and those kinds of things. So they're doing the best that they can as far as healthy eating for them and their children. So that was her take. She's very understanding and very interested. And then my sister, who lives around the coast, she's asked me about it, and but she's not judgmental or anything like that, or trying to persuade me not to, or whatever. Who else? Oh, one of the cattlemen around here that we buy some of our beef from, they've gone carnivore at times, but they don't stay on it.
Oh, interesting. All right, but They understand the reasons and the benefits for
Mhm.
why you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. If someone came to you, like, your daughter-in-law or your sister or someone came to you and said, "Look, you're so much more mobile than I've seen you for a long time. You seem to be, much happier than you have been, etc., etc. How do I get some of this?" What would you recommend they do, or how would you recommend they start with this?
I would tell them, that the best thing is to stop your sugar if you can. And then the processed foods, the grains and all that kind of stuff. I know, those kinds of things. Do the best you can as far as eating the meat. And if you can, eat your meat first, increase your beef or any of it. I tell people a lot of times, I take ground beef, and I usually try to do the ground beef as grass fed. But if I know that I have to stop and think, how much does all of this cost, and what is my budget and everything. But I take the ground beef, the bison, and the ground lamb, and I mush it all up together. And the last time I made the little meatballs, I put half a pound of sausage and did all of that up and made little meatballs, so that, and I would either cook them all up or I put them in my plastic sealed container and pull them out and cook them as I needed to. Because even though it's okay with me to eat over cold meat and everything, not everybody likes to do that. I know it's a lot easier because I am retired and I am at home and that kind of thing. But I would just say, look into some of the keto stuff. Like I said, I don't know anything. I really don't know that much about keto. I've seen a lot of people that have benefited from it and everything, lost weight. But the age that I am and wanting to get rid of all of those pills, and for my health to be strong and have vitality, and I can't do that. Don't want to do that. It wasn't. I mean, because I had gone through all those years where I ate salads with baby spinach, organic, girl packages and everything, and ate fruits and that are fresh or in season. The last fruits I bought the apples were sweeter than they normally were. The grapes they were modified, genetically modified to be that way. And I think after 2020, whenever everything happened the way it did, I'm not putting any of that genetically modified stuff. And I even pray over my beef and my meat and go, God, if there's anything in here that will adversely react with me, mitigate it or help me to know and let me have a place. I tried to go a little bit more modest in how much I pay for my food, and with local little grocery store over here, and their meats were labeled. Thank you, Lord, they were labeled from Canada, Mexico, and somewhere else. And it was not as good. So I'll have to stay with the one up here, or the cattleman that sells at the farmer's market where I sell my soaps and candles and everything, or just buy beef and do the best I can, because I know that that's okay. And I'm just so thankful I don't have to deal with that debilitating pain.
Right. That's the most important thing, right? Is just like when the pain's gone, everything else looks brighter. You know, you can focus on the
Right.
future and stuff. Yeah. So, Susan, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome, and thank you, Dave.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.